faces this evening. The Navy League is a civilian, nonprofit, nonpartisan, non-political organization. We receive no financial support from the city, county, state, or federal governments, or the military. We are funded totally by donations from our membership and from civilians. We support the men, women, and their families. We support youth programs, and we educate the public, our business leaders, and our elected officials of the needs of our maritime nation, including the importance of commerce on the seas. The Santa Barbara Navy League, serving since 1956, has an average of 1,000 members, some with, some without military service. We are composed of civilians who care enough to join, serve, and support, to give locally, to serve nationally. Our partners in the community are the Santa Barbara Maritime Museum, the Santa Barbara Yacht Club, the Channel City Club, the Carriage Museum, Old Spanish Days, the Reagan Library, the Reagan Ranch Center, the Santa Barbara Police Department, the Santa Barbara Fire Department, the Santa Barbara Waterfront Department, and the City of Santa Barbara, the Central Coast Veterans Association, the Pierre Claessens Veterans Museum and Library, and the Wood Claessens Foundation. The Santa Barbara Navy League supports the work of the United States Armed Forces, the Navy, the Marines, the Coast Guard, the Army, and the Air Force. Joint forces. As long as there are men and women deployed, there is work to be done, and the Santa Barbara Navy League will be there to do it. It's the right thing to do. 2009 review. The Santa Barbara Navy League supported activities in our 13 adopted units in 125 days out of the 365 in 2009. I would like our board members and volunteers to stand the first time I call their name in recognition, but please hold your applause. In January, we hosted events for Navy Rear Admiral Scott Hemier, the Carrier Strike Group 7 and Ronald Reagan Strike Group Commander, and Coast Guard Rear Admiral Paul Zumka, the Director of Response Policy. Moreva and Hardwon Fells hosted a dinner. And we supported AirPAC Squadron Sea Cadets Awards Ceremony. In February, the Reagan Ranch Center celebrated President Reagan's legacy, remembering his belief in peace through strength, the USS Ronald Reagan's motto. Brant Ivy traveled to San Diego to deliver the Sailor of the Quarter and other awards to the USS Ronald Reagan sailors. We were honored to attend the dining out at Naval Base Ventura County. Our Santa Barbara Navy League flags waved on State Street 10 days as a reminder to everyone of the men and women serving our country overseas. And we attended the change of command from Brad Connors to Captain Jim McHugh at Naval Base Ventura County. March, we participated in the Santa Barbara Yacht Club opening day ceremony. And in April, we co-hosted the second annual Military Business and Community Expo in Ventura at Naval Base Ventura County. Jerry Lamonaco and Lynn Rack. January through April, Santa Barbara Navy League had weekly planning meetings in preparation for the commissioning of the USS Stockdale DDG-106, co-hosted with Naval Base Ventura County. Jerry Lamonaco, Grant Ivy, Richard Aberley, Doug Crawford, Commander Jim Huff, Charles Huff, excuse me, were very instrumental. There were planning, funding, budgeting, purchasing, event and logistic meetings in preparation for the Stockdale commissioning. Jeff Cotter, Bob Duncan, Melissa Goff, Alex Baker, Lynn Behrens, Steve Hicks, Kevin McKay, and Rick Reeves. A network of national heroes became part of the commissioning committee. Al Agnew, Charlie Plumb, Ken Cordier, Tom Hudner, Mike Thornton, Phil Conrad, Jim Conkle, retired Admiral John Knackman, and Ross Perot. U.S. Navy commands engaged in helping Santa Barbara Navy League bring the NAM POWs and the Red River Rats to the Stockdale Commission. Naval Base Ventura County, Region Southwest, 3rd Fleet, NAV AirPAC, Surface Force Surface PAC, and U.S. Pacific Fleet. There were multiple days of activities for the USS Stockdale commissioning, including the ship ride from San Diego to Port Hueneme, ship reading committee, the civilian ship tour, commissioning committee reception, commanding officers reception, sponsors luncheon, platform breakfast, the commissioning, the post-commissioning reception, and the POW barbecue, with worldwide satellite uplink provided by the Santa Barbara Navy, covering commissioning and the POW barbecue. Brenda Blaylock, Lynn Graff, Coast Guard, MST-1, Jill Lemon, Jack Kimball, John Lockhart, Aaron Lynch, David Bolton, Jay Hartman, Bill Hans, Aaron Graff, Debbie Neer, Susie Mitchell, and many, many more volunteers handed out. Softball games were arranged between the Santa Barbara Fire Department and the crew, as well as the Reagan Library tour and lunch for the Stockdale family and crew and Naval Base Ventura County sailors. As well, the commissioning events were successful and were memorialized on national television and on DVD. The public across the nation viewed naval history as it was happening, and in recognition and appreciation of a national hero, Vice Admiral John Stockdale, the NAM POWs, and the veterans of the Vietnam era, who returned with honor on April 18, 2009. May, Stockdale recap meeting in Coronado to discuss details of the satellite system and other enhancements, MWR donation, sailor and spouse scholarships, and delivery of plane owners' plaques. We met with Vice Admiral D.C. Curtis and attended flag-raising ceremonies to honor veterans. We delivered 6 scholarship award checks to 6 sailors aboard the USS Ronald Reagan with our partners Colleen and Michael Reagan, and delivered books to the USS Ronald Reagan's library. And Santa Barbara Navy League TV televised the World War II memorial ceremony at the Santa Barbara Airport. In June, we attended the change of command of Coast Guard Marine Safety Detachment from Lieutenant Ron Feen to Lieutenant Chad Roboth, with a retirement ceremony for Lieutenant Feen, Brenda Blaylock. We participated in CB Days 2009, Jerry Lamonaco, Glenn Graff, and committee. And we attended the Naval War College Strategy Forum, where we met Admiral Ruppet. What an honor. July, we were a sponsor of Navy Days LA for the July 4th port visit, U.S. Coast Guard George Cobb, Grand Island. And we attended the change of command of U.S. Coast Guard Cutter Blackfin from Lieutenant Whistler to Lieutenant Stephen Boldowski. August, we participated in the Tech Brew Mega Mixer to prospective Navy young business members, Doug Crawford. Naval Base Ventura County participated in the Santa Barbara Fiesta Parade with a flyover. Jerry Lamonaco, Doug Crawford, and Fred Ivey. We attended and supported Navy Days LA Tall Ship, Eagle, Brent Ivey. USS Stockdale Commanding Officer Fred Kaysher was the guest speaker at a luncheon hosted by the Channel City Club. And we had another friend raiser honoring Commander Kaysher at the home with Susan and Richard Averly. We made an MWR donation to Navy VAW 113, Glenn Graff, and Naval Base Ventura County arranged for Navy Honors Funeral Service and an F-18 flyover for Commander McLeod, Santa Barbara Navy League member and Navy fighter pilot during Korea. September, we attended the Governor's Global Climate Summit to support the Navy's role in protecting the environment and the importance of education on this subject, Doug Crawford. The first Hunter Goff's hammer ship was awarded to Coast Guard dependent Andreas Campbell to attend swim lessons at Los Banos swimming pool. October, we manned the booths at Avocado Festival and Santa Barbara Harbor Seafood Festival, where the public filled out thousands of Salute the Troop postcards to go into care packages for deployed troops for the holidays. Debbie Neer, Rick Reeves, and Sister Christine Bowman. We attended the Navy birthday ball put on by Naval Base Ventura County. 6 members participated in the Tiger Cruise aboard the USS Ronald Reagan from Hawaii to San Diego. We greeted the USS Ronald Reagan and VAW 113 as they returned from deployment, Lynn Graff and Lynn Behrens. We were honored to have the Secretary of the Navy, Raymond Mavis, as a speaker at a Navy League luncheon at Ginny and Chad Dryer's collection. Grant Ivy, Doug Crawford, and Lynn Graff were elected as national directors of the Navy League at the Navy League Convention in Corpus Christi, Texas, and Doug Crawford was elected as the National Vice President of Public Affairs and Education. And the U.S. Coast Guard held its second annual chili cook-off, and one of our members won. In November, Naval Base Ventura County arranged an F-18 flyover for the funeral of Lieutenant Commander Julian Smith, Santa Barbara member and Navy pilot during World War II. We were busy during Veterans Day. Sister Christine Bowman participated in the ceremony at El Presidio. Leslie Lund provided Veterans Appreciation Cake at the City of Santa Barbara Welders Barbecue for Veterans, and our membership was invited to the Veterans Concert hosted by Pierre Clayson's Library and Museum. We co-hosted the military ball with Pierre Clayson's Veterans Museum and Library, Alex Baker, Sarah Reeves, Sister Christine Bowman, Hazel and John Blankenship. The largest number ever of active duty and their dates attended as our guests. UCSB's Army ROTC Chair, Brady Bustani, Vandenberg Air Force Chair, Grant Ivy, Navy Chair, Jerry LaMonaco, Lynn Graff, Richard Aberley, Bob Duncan, Grant Ivy, Coast Guard Chair, Brenda Blaylock, and Marine Corps Chair, John Gowan. As National Navy League has requested councils to engage in more community service, we have met with Central Coast Veterans Association, assisting our wounded veterans, supported by Governor Schwarzenegger's office. We attended dinner in honor of the Gold Star families in support of the California Department of Veterans Affairs. We delivered book donations for Naval Base Ventura County, Jerry LaMonaco. And we sponsored Operation CV Christmas for sailors deployed in Afghanistan and Iraq, Jerry LaMonaco. December, we attended the opening of the Veterans Home for California Ventura, serving Los Angeles, Ventura, and Santa Barbara counties, working to support our local veterans. We sponsored the U.S. Coast Guard Christmas party and participated in the parade of lights aboard the Coast Guard cutter Blackfin, Brenda Blaylock. And we adopted UCSB's Army ROTC Surf Riders, helping to fund the training and participation in the Bataan Memorial Death March for 2 5-man teams, Brady Custone. In 2009, we received another Outstanding Council Award for the 5th year in a row for work done in 2008, in addition to a newsletter award, a website award, and a PR award. We attribute our success to our commitment to the importance of education. Doug Crawford and Jack Kimball produced and directed excellent Santa Barbara Navy League television shows on local Channel 17 around the world on the internet. Webmaster Rick Reeves managed website content and funding applications. And editor Brady Bustani produced 4 outstanding newsletters. Ladies and gentlemen, when the public understands what our active duty and reserve men and women do and what they need, our countrymen are better prepared to make decisions. I would like to read a letter from a deployed blue to green first sergeant that we just received. This is just a thank you from me. I'm a first sergeant in the Kansas Army National Guard, currently stationed in the South Sinai, Egypt. I am a former sailor of 10 years, and when I got the care package from the Navy League, it rekindled some old spirits, my long-lost desire to be hazed gray and underway. But now, I find myself leading soldiers in Egypt. So I must thank you for sending a touch of home to make my soldiers feel at home, no matter where they are. Please let your supporters know they are the true heroes. This is what we do. We leave home in defense of our nation. But what you do is not ordinary. It is out of your way. It is above and beyond. You are our heroes. I remember just a few short years ago, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines were not the most welcome citizens in our nation. However, because of people like you, we are once again respected. Thank you, and God bless you, and may God bless America. First Sergeant Gerald Cratch, Higher Headquarters Battalion, 2nd Battalion, 130th Airfield, U.S. Army, former DC-1 Pratt USS Enterprise. Ladies and gentlemen, these items are only possible because you make them happen. Please continue to support us. Thank you all. Really appreciate it. I congratulate the Navy League volunteers. They're just amazing people. We have the best organization, best leadership, and I thank them all. I'm looking forward to the future of Santa Barbara Navy League under the leadership of Lynn Graff and his new executive team. You can count on the Santa Barbara Navy League to continue to support all our men and women in the armed forces. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please continue to support this exceptional organization. Now, please help me welcome Dan Branch, the newly elected president of our national organization, who traveled from Colorado today to be with us. Thank you for coming, Dan.
Well, thank you very much. Karen, congratulations. I think we've heard probably the complete history of the Navy League Santa Barbara, and it's absolutely phenomenal. So congratulations to you, congratulations to them for taking over. Admiral Mrs. Rofed, community leaders, military leaders, Navy leaders, friends, staff officers. It's just a great pleasure to be in Santa Barbara. Heard so much about it. In fact, when I got back and took over as national president, I asked the staff, what's the best of the Navy League and where is it? And hands down, they all said, it's out there in Santa Barbara. And just by accident, Doug, that's the recipient of the award she calls honey otherwise. Doug called me up and said, you gotta come out to Santa Barbara, and I can promise you one thing. He said it'll be beautiful weather, wonderful people, and sunshine will probably be out there the whole time. But Doug, I want you to know I had 3 umbrellas today as I worked my way north from Los Angeles. But it's really a great pleasure to be here, and I just think the types of things that the Navy League in Santa Barbara does is really something we can all be proud of. I think I feel very personally touched because I know they're supporting the National Navy League. I know they're supporting the fleet, the ships, the people, Army, the Air Force, and of course all the various commands here. So, Aaron, Doug, Lynn, the council, and the board, thank you very much, and we certainly do appreciate it. I think I can probably honestly say that of any of the Navy League councils, this is probably the jewel of the Navy League. And I give you an incredible amount of credit for that, and I think the work that's gone into it is really from the heart. It really means you love what you're doing. And I had the same feeling that I was maybe going through boot camp again, listening to Karen initially. But anyway, I think you've set the bar. I think the town is probably the jewel of California. We've heard so much about it, and my hat is off to you and the council. Now, let me mention a couple things about the Navy League, just to kind of set the record straight for what we do. We interface, obviously, with the citizens of the country and with our elected leaders. And we've been doing this since 1902. We started as an organization that was really predicated on getting out and influencing the American people and the Congress to build up a Navy. Because we had just come out of the Spanish-American War in 1898. We found ourselves as world power on stage and quite unprepared for it. And you've all read, so many historians say that no world power could ever be sustained without a strong Navy. So of course, Theodore Roosevelt was one of the driving motivators to try to build up that fleet. And you can remember the Great White Fleet and all the various things that we were doing to make battleships and cruisers the center of the United States Navy, so that we could then rank with Great Britain, Italy, Portugal, and the other countries that we'd lag far behind. So that's where we started. The Navy League with several fellows who got together and decided they were going to form a corporation to get out and try to sell the message about building a strong Navy, and a strong sea power. Today, we still do the same thing. Our mission is expanded to all the sea services, and we take great pride in trying to support constantly with the Congress and with the people, the Marines, the Navy, the Coast Guard, and the U.S. flag merchant marine. So we're still working away at our original mission. Some people would say we haven't changed very much, but we really rank over 53,000 people who are members, and we go all the way from Thailand to the Black Sea. And of course, hundreds of councils in the United States. We have really championed the basic call for the United States. Something that's happened since the Cold War, the Navy has gone into a significant decline in size. We've all witnessed the decline of the fleet, shrinking of the military. And we think it's time to turn around and put the money into the prospects of building up the fleet. I'm sure Admiral Ruffett will be happy to tell you what he thinks about what the Navy needs. We support that fully. We carry that message to Congress all the time. I'm amazed at how many people in Congress, when I talk to them, they will say, how should I know how many ships the Navy needs? And I always say, listen to your Chief of Naval Operations, listen to your Secretary of the Navy, listen to the people who run the organization. They know what they need to carry out their mission. And we know, you know, as I know, that the Navy has many, many missions, and it's stretched very, very thin. All the way from the various missions at sea, being ready to fight, presence, impressing our allies, depressing those who maybe are not too friendly to us, to getting underway for a humanitarian operation in places like Haiti. World trade. Where is the world going to be 10 years from now? Where are we going to be 20 and 30 years from now? Who knows what the new economic powers are going to be when you look at Southeast Asia and India and China and Korea? How's that going to play out on the world stage? What is going to be a threat to us, perhaps? What is going to be the economic center of power that may threaten our national security from an economic standpoint? We all know in the Navy League that 95% of all the trade moves by ship. The American people demand that the goods continue to flow unimpeded. That is a given. I was out in Kansas City a couple of weeks ago talking to a dentist friend of mine, and I was talking about world trade and how it moves. I asked the dentist, do you still have any of those little giveaway samples of toothpaste that are kind of psychedelic? He said, yeah, I still use them. And I said, where are they made? How do you get them? And they come by FedEx in a truck. He says, where's it made? Made in China. Can you imagine if the flow of toothpaste from China to Kansas City were interrupted? The people of Kansas City would riot on the streets. The Dental Association of Kansas City would lobby Congress. They would go to the Capitol Hill, and they would talk about the crisis in toothpaste in Kansas City, and it would probably spread to the other cities of the United States. The next thing would happen, the will of Congress would change. We'd turn to the Navy and say, get those ships out there and get that toothpaste flowing. Is that the time for the Secretary of Defense to say, well, we don't have enough ships to do that? So my remaining thought would be, if you're brushing your teeth tonight, think about how many ships the Navy needs to carry out. This is a very important function. But anyway, Santa Barbara, congratulations. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure, Kathleen. Great pleasure for me to be here. We're looking for the opportunity to come back, and that thing in August really looked enticing. So maybe if we mind our P's and Q's this year, we'll get an invitation back. Karen, thank you very much.
In appreciation of superior public service, the Department of the Navy, the Chief of Naval Operations takes pleasure in presenting the Superior Public Service Award to Karen L. Crawford for services set forth in the following citation. for superior service to the United States Navy and the Santa Barbara Council of the Navy League of the United States from January 2003 to January 2010. First serving as a board member in charge of events, then being elected as president of the Santa Barbara Council in January 2006, Mrs. Crawford coordinated more than 100 events supporting and honoring the sailors and families of the United States Navy, encompassing active duty and reserve personnel and junior reserve officer training corps programs. During her 4 years as president, the Santa Barbara Council was awarded Outstanding Large Council by the Navy League of the United States, 3 first-place Navy League awards for public relations, and 2nd and 3rd place Mackey Awards for the Council's website and quarterly newsletter. Mrs. Crawford grew the Council's number of adopted units from 4 to 13, providing vital morale, welfare, and recreation supports to families and units from all branches of our armed forces, at home, at sea, or deployed. Mrs. Crawford's exceptional professional ability, personal initiative, and unswerving devotion to duty reflected great credit upon herself and were in keeping with the highest traditions of the Department of the Navy. Admiral Gary Buffett, Chief of Naval Operations.
Navy League's nonpartisan advocacy programs deliver critical information about the needs of the Sea Services and its men and women in uniform throughout the halls of Congress. Whether at home or abroad, the Navy League provides support to our men and women of the Sea Services around the world. With the help of individual and corporate members, the Sea Services become integrated into the local communities they serve and protect. In addition to providing support today to the men and women serving at home and abroad, the Navy League always looks to the future, to today's young people and tomorrow's leaders. The need for a strong, vital sea service, recognized by Theodore Roosevelt in 1902, is no less today. The challenges facing our nation have never been greater. More than 100 years later, the Navy League continues to answer the call. Your support makes a difference to our men and women of the Sea Services who serve today and will serve tomorrow in support of American sea power. As one Secretary of the Navy said, "The sun never sets on the Navy League."